Hi, Mrs. Sarobi here with a short presentation on when you should use the letter S on the end of plural nouns in your speech and in your writing. So, plurals refer to multiples. In this photograph, for example, there's only one person, not plural, but there are many colors and many designs painted on the wall in graffiti. We can't say there are many graffiti. Graffiti is a word that never needs S on the end because it's kind of a collective. It's uncountable. It's just the thing. But there are many pictures within that graffiti. We need S on the end of countable plurals, not those big collective groups. And we do not need S on the end of a singular. So while that's fairly simple, there are some hints that identify what we're thinking about. And this can be difficult for speakers of languages that don't use anything to change when a noun is singular or plural. They just understand that concept. In English, we must use the S in some places, and then there are exceptions to that rule where we don't. So here are some clues that something is plural that you might look for in text. They're hints that let you know when you will need to use an S on the end. So we might look for quantities. For example, hundreds of trees were purchased today. One of a group, so one of my friends is going to the movies. These words give a big clue. These is the plural form of this. So if I say this desk is right in front of me, that's different than these desks are in my classroom. Some also indicates that there's going to be more than one. So some students dropped by to wish me happy holidays. Many, certainly a clue that we're going to have a plural follow. And the most tricky aspect of this is when we have a collective. So we just have to know that we're talking about a group. For example, Americans often eat large portions. I'm talking about a collective there. I'm talking about Americans as a group. I'm not talking about the American who I know living in my building often eats large portions. I'm talking about the group as a whole, as a trend. And therefore, I need to use an S to indicate that I'm talking about a plural. I'm also talking about portions. Usually, plural subject matches plural object. This one is the place where the most mistakes are made. Here are some hints that something should not have an S on the end. If we use the articles the or a, that indicates a singular after. So for example, the boy at the front of the line forgot his ID card. I mean that one boy. I don't mean all the students in the line. One is another big hint. If I say one student in my class was late today, I mean one student, just that one person. I'm counting. Subject-verb agreement is another hint. So we know that in English, the subject and the verb must agree. So the problem for a student is that these technologies can be expensive. That doesn't have subject-verb agreement in it, but we're identifying here that it's the singular problem for a singular student. However, over here, hunters need to acquire permits. So if it was a hunter, I would need an S on the end of this. Because there's no S, I know this has to be a plural subject, so I cannot say hunter need to acquire permits. I can say a hunter needs to acquire permits or hunters need. This is important. So if there's an S on the noun, if that's plural, your verb does not have an S. Like a lot of concepts in English grammar, there are exceptions to the rules, and this is what makes this concept quite tricky. Most nouns need S when you make them plural, but there are uncountable nouns that never need an S, and they're important to remember. Countable nouns need S. If you can count the actual nouns, not the units of a group, but the nouns. For example, in my room there are 14 desks. My largest class has 13 students. There are 22 pencils on my desk. We ordered 24 cupcakes for the birthday party. My students had many great ideas. Their contributions to our discussion was fantastic. I can count all of these things, and there are hundreds of thousands, millions more nouns in the English language that I can count. Uncountable collectives are where this exception falls in, and I'll go through some of the most common ones next. You can count the units, but you can't count the whole. So I might say there's a lot of furniture in this room. I don't say there's a lot of furnitures in this room. There are pieces of furniture. Same thing, if we have a music concert and there are 300 people in the audience, they are not audiences, they are members of the audience. The audience is the collective, the group. Same thing when you're writing an essay and you're providing evidence. No such thing as evidences. You give pieces of evidence. Rice, who wants to count every grain? Water, we have drops or molecules. Vocabulary, we have words. There are units that you can count within these, but these are collectives. So to wrap up, please take this reminder. These words never have S on the end to make them plural. They are collective groups referred to like this. So the most common mistakes are with the words in this left-hand column. Audience, not audiences. Evidence, no such thing as evidences. Information, furniture, advice, never such a thing as advices. Probably number one most common is work. We can't have works. That goes for homework, housework, schoolwork. Never put an S on the end of these words. Okay, I hope that helps you understand a little more about when we should place that S on the end of our plural nouns and when we shouldn't. Thanks.